Okay, good. The countdown is over. My name is Oliver Bertschinger. I'm the president and managing director of the Chamber of Commerce, Switzerland, Central Eastern Europe. And I would like to welcome you very heartily to today's CEE Swiss Impulse session. Also, in the name of those 12 organizations that you see here, these are all bilateral chambers of commerce in the CEE region that are doing nothing but trying to improve and push relationships regarding business, but also regarding society between their country and Switzerland. And they are co-hosting this. Today's webinar will be will be a BIM architect construction. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's a bit a different webinar than we usually have. This is really focused on construction and architecture. We are going to do a bit more of that, where really specialists are, probably open and also interested in it. Rather than these a little bit more meta general topics that we used to have, and this is on purpose. You will have the opportunity to listen to Julien Fersing. I don't even know, we never said the last name, Julien. Probably said that completely wrong. Anyway, so he will talk around 30 minutes. As usually, you will have a lot of time for interaction. If you have questions, we will normally do those at the end. You are on mute and you don't have any video, so that is something that Zoom is asking us to do. We will end on time, which means at 11:45, and we do have the option to continue our discussion if we have questions. Please use the chat function. If you have any insights, maybe you know something that we don't know, so put it there. Maybe you can also say hello, where you're from. And maybe I have to open the chat function before you can do that. Maybe somebody can try the chat function if it works to everybody. Then you will receive the slides, and we will give you all the contact details also of Julien, and you can rewatch the session on our YouTube channel. So this is, I guess, everything I wanted to say. We will, of course, have every once a month. We are trying every month, but sometimes we just have too much work to do to find the topics and the speakers. Upcoming topics can be artificial intelligence, blockchain, crypto we're working on, also an investment outlook we're working on. Smart cities is a topic, the future of mobility is a topic. And if you have any topic that you think would fit this impulse sessions well, and the idea is really to have inspirational topics that people who are living a life between a Central Eastern European country and Switzerland, please send us an email with this topic, ideally also with a speaker already, and we will follow up on that. Send this please to info@cee.swiss. Good. So I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Julien. He brings a broad experience and cutting-edge know-how in real estate and construction. He has been working on that for a long time, and together with his team, he has been helping designers, builders, and investors to meet their targets by using state-of-the-art technology and modern processes to increase efficiency, which I think is very important in the construction industry, as I heard, during the entire life cycle of a building process, so which he has done in various projects in various countries. He co-founded an innovation hub for a real estate group in Geneva, helping to tackle the multiple construction challenges on residential projects and offices in Switzerland. And he also founded, I think that's his main role right now, Reality Swiss SR, a company of experts helping architects, engineers, and developers to strive in the digital area of real estate. Julien, that's interesting. Maybe you can elaborate that a bit, Julien. You hold various architect degrees and BIM degrees from the VIA University College, Warsaw School of Technology. How did you get to Warsaw? That would be a good question. And the University of Strasbourg. So anyway, we are very excited to hear about this topic. Julien, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oliver, for the introduction. Regarding my family name, to answer your question, how to pronounce it, it really depends where you are from. I used to, when I was making my study and abroad in English, they used to say Fersing, and in French-speaking part, they're saying Fersing, and in the German-speaking part, they are saying Herr Fersing. So it all depends, up to you to choose which variant it is, and I'm fine with all of them. I'm just gonna share my screen. If you can just allow me, Oliver, so that I can just kick the presentation also. There we go. And just let me know if you see the screen, if it's all good. Yeah. All good, perfect. So hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar about building the future. And we will be talking about efficiency, as you heard, but also mostly about technology and what's happening in the construction industry. I will try to not dive too much in the technical detail. The idea is to still have an overall introduction about the topic, about the various elements, without being too much something from a specialized aspect. So firstly, a bit about myself and how I end up with those various universities. So myself, I'm Julien Fersing. I'm somebody who is passionate about aviation, and that has nothing to do about the building industry, but this is how I get there. When I was small, I used to work on building the simulator to just fly before flying in real, and I was building those, really the fun part. So I was creating my own 3D cockpit, and I was working in this software just to allow some functions in the cockpit and so on. So a lot of IT part. And it's allowed me to basically fly before I was actually having my first flight. So I was simulating the real world. And when I was starting to look for my studies, somebody said me that it would be good to have another option than only being the captain. And I was looking a bit about the software. Back then I was using 3ds Max, which is really a 3D modeling software for the cockpit. And when I went on the website of Autodesk, I saw a software called Revit, which were allowing to model the building before they are constructed. And I was like, oh, fantastic. It's something that I'm already doing. And I was really curious about this software and what it could do for the building industry. And I looked basically about some university which were teaching this software, and something which later got to be known as BIM. And that's how I ended up in Denmark. Denmark is one of the countries which is the most advanced in BIM usage, the full Scandinavia. When I was making my study, BIM was already mandatory in Denmark. So it's since 2007 already mandatory there. And what was interesting is that the BIM word was never used. During the full studies that I had in VI University College, we never talk about BIM, but we use all the principle of BIM. Actually, it's only later by the 2010s and after that the BIM word started to be more and more common. During my study, I also met a lot of people. It was international school on 23 students. We had 19 different university in my promotion in my class. So I had a lot of friends from full world, including a lot of country from the east of Europe, including Poland. And I had the opportunity to talk also about what was happening in Poland, and they were talking about a lot of construction, new project going on, especially in Warsaw. And I got interested about that, and that's why for the 6th, 7th semester, I had the options to go to Warsaw University. So I went there to Poland for the exchange program for the 7th semester, and I ended up staying there for almost 3 years, because it was really interesting to see how fast this city was growing. A lot of new development. I had the opportunity to find also a job there after my study, and to work on some projects that I will share also later in the presentation. Then I had a great opportunity to work in a large project in Qatar. So the education city, it's literally a city. It's a 15 square kilometers in the middle of the desert, enormous project. And we were working with my team in the facility management part in Qatar to reduce the energy consumption. And after that, to close my loop, I came back to Switzerland to, as you mentioned before, to co-found Innovation Hub to push a bit more what BIM can do and what it means for the construction industry. And later on, I founded Realty. So Realty is a group of architect engineers which are pushing the boundaries of what today the process of building is, and looking for new way and smarter way of developing projects. So today we're gonna talk about the construction industry. So on this screen you have like 3 industry shown: the car industry, the flight and astronomic industry, and the construction industry. And the goal is to today talk like how it's possible that we are still there when the other industry has evolved so much. And we'll just discuss about the current challenges that are facing in the construction industry and how basically digital innovation and BIM can help to solve them. So the program is today you will learn about the different challenges and the benefits of using BIM and the latest innovation technology which exists for the construction. We'll share, as I mentioned, some case studies from real world example for the 2 countries that have taken me a lot of my time during the 10 last years. And I will also have like a fast forward look at the current trends and some of my prediction of what is coming up for the building industry. So firstly, about the current challenges of the construction industry, and I would like to just open up with maybe with one question, which is an important question. And normally you should be able to vote on that part. So the question is, what has been the increase of construction productivity since 1995? So for almost the last 30 years of construction. So you can vote directly and just give you some time to see a bit the results. So yeah, it's coming up. So it's a study which have been done by McKinsey, also analyzing all the construction industry and with all the innovation that we have seen during the last 30 years on it. So just giving like a bit more time for the people to vote. Yeah, we have like some interesting answer coming up. Good diversity also of the answer.
Julien, we then probably have to move to the second question as well, which you already did. They already did it. They're really quick.
Okay. Yeah, because I see that you already pushed it, the second question, right? So it will come later. Also for this question is how much % of the carbon emission come from the operational phase? So that also, so for the full life cycle of a project, from the moment that we start to design until the moment that the building is decommissioned, so at the end of potentially the demolition of the project, how much % of the carbon emission is coming from the operational phase or the after the construction part? So here also, I think we have like everything. So please don't share the results yet. also for the second question. I don't know if it will be possible because it will come later on the presentation. So I'm looking at the answer for the first question. We have the majority of the people, you guys voted for 20% and above. So we have 65% of the people which voted for that part. The answer, unfortunately, is not that good. We have 1% which found it, the good answer. It's below 5%. The productivity of the construction industry have increased by 1% only during the past 30 years. This is extremely low productivity increase when you think about what happened during those 30 last years almost. Just to give one key mark in the middle of those 30 years, what happened in 2007, the introduction of the iPhone. So when we think this technology is like already like that old, but with all the tools, all the internet, all the ease of communication that was introduced in our world, the productivity haven't increased. In fact, when we look at the first challenge for the construction industry, this is really about the building with less, so the labor shortage that we have in the construction industry. On the top right, you have the graph, which is showing basically the different growth of the productivity in the different industry and the added value per hour. And we have basically, I'll just like move myself so that I can see what I'm showing. We have in this blue-green color, this is the manufacturing industry. In gray, this is the global economy, and in the orange, as you guess, it's the construction industry. So we see that the construction industry is way behind the other industry in terms of productivity. And in fact, nowadays, the labor shortages have a big impact on the construction industry for two reasons. Firstly, it's not attracting anymore. This is like an industry where, you know, where we have studies, we are making like pushing people in the direction in more high-end work, and nobody wants to work on the construction industry anymore. So we have less and less skilled people as the majority of the current workforce are going for retirement, and we have less and less demographic, which are interesting about this job, meaning that if the workforce is less skilled, we have also project timelines which gets longer and longer and longer. When we look at the graph, the second part of the slides down below, on the down right corner, we have all the different industries and which have been rated by different sectors about the digitalization of it. And we see at the really bottom is the construction industry. This is for the world part. In Europe, actually, construction industry is the last industry to enter the digital era. Meaning that the agriculture, which used to be the last one, have already been more digitalized right now as we speak than the other industry. So what is the consequence of that? Well, it has a cost, a huge cost for Europe. So the miss of productivity, the cost that it has is evaluated to 460 billion euro. This is the cost of not being that much productive in construction industry in Europe. To give a perspective, this is almost half of the gross domestic product of Switzerland. So half of the GDP of Switzerland is lost just because of productivity. It's almost the full GDP of Sweden. The second big challenge of the construction industry is definitely the speed. We need to build faster. We are entering industrialization of the construction with different way of building, new way of building. We have heard about some offsite prefabrication, so building more in the industry, like we see the cars. You're not building a car on the parking lot, it's done in the factories. So construction industry still an industry where it's happened on site most of the time. The modular construction, here we have an example of a really interesting company that I get to know in Poland. So for Poland, the MD Modular, they have built hotels like for Marriott in New York by creating the full room, including the bed and the pillow directly inside those modules, and they were shipped across the full Atlantic to be assembled directly on site in New York. So we have to look at new way of building Legos in the higher scale, and we need that have an impact on the specialization skills and equipment that are needed, which is interesting because nobody wants to be on the construction site because of the dirty work, but we need those new engineering way of thinking and technology, which will also attract more and more people. And why we need to build faster? Well, we are in a race against our own growth. So by 2015, it has been estimated that the world population will reach 10 billion inhabitants, and 75% of those people will live in the cities. Which means that we will be adding up to our cities and to the world 3.2 billion inhabitants in the cities only by 2050. That's almost adding 2 times the country of China, which will be added to our planet. And we need to build homes for all those people. To give you a rate, 3.2 billion people, this is the equivalent of building 5 cities like Paris or Bucharest. So we are talking about 2 million people cities, 5 cities like that each single month during the next 25 years. This is what needs to be built during each single month to host the global population by 2050. So definitely building faster is one of the key elements. And while doing that, we have the main challenge, which is also important. We need to grow in a more sustainable way. We need to build better. We need to reduce the waste, the carbon, because we will not have enough resource if we continue to build the way that we do today. We need to harvest big data to allow to better measure the carbon footprint of everything. This is like a really big challenge to measure everything, not only the carbon footprint of like what we are producing right now, but also everything in the chain which is connected with the project. So from the moment that we harvest the materials to the moment that we are building up the decommission, all this carbon footprints, right now we're using servers which are pushing this webinar. It produces carbon and all those elements which are adding up. So how to measure correctly. And we need to renovate a lot. In Switzerland, 70% of the building needs to be renovated to meet the actual requirements of energy in terms of sustainability. I put you in the down corner an example. This is the Copenhagen International School, which have a full facade made of solar panels. Solar panels which were developed in Switzerland in EPFL during 12 years, and this is a full facade which are producing 300 megawatt hours of installation, covering like half of the needs of the school. So we need to rethink the way that we design, and this is what is interesting right now for architects and engineers. This is the 1% or 2% of the world population which have a chance to have an enormous impact on the world which surrounds us. And on the top of that, multiple countries have right now put it a new target, which is 2050. We want to be carbon neutral. So we need to build also like a better way of designing and building projects. So the second question that I had and that you already answered was how much percent actually represents the operational phase. And here in the answer, we had like a bit more dispatch. So we have, you guys voted, like majority voted 25 to 50%. And after we have like few voted for the three other answer. The correct answer is 70%. This is the, this is the percentage of the CO2 emission during the operational phase. And this is like important because it has an impact in the way that we are currently working. The construction industry is really fragmented. We have a lot of different people involved during the different phases of the project, and not all the people are at the end. And most of the time, the people which are managing the building is not the one which are investing in the building. And this is a big conflict of interest when we come to the carbon footprint. Who is gonna finance that part? The investor wants their money back before the construction or at the end of the construction. The owners, they got their money back after 10 years of actually using the building. And this is where the challenge is happening, because in fact, you can save money during the design phase and by looking for cheaper solution, but they will have a huge cost during the operational part, because you will have less quality, more maintenance, more emissions, more consumptions. And this is a complexity equation that we need to solve between the two workforces, I mean, the two industry parts. The 30 other percent are mostly about the processing of the materials, so the extraction of the different concrete and steel and so on. So what we see here is that we have a big dilemma, big challenges, three big challenges for the construction industry. We need to build faster, we need to build with less, and we need to build better. This triangle is probably already ring a bell on you, that you already heard about this. This is the infernal triangle that we have in any industry and any business, is time, quality, and money. It all come to that. So how do we move forward with that? What are the different innovation and solutions which have been implemented in the construction industry to tackle those different services? So those different challenges. The first one, the BIM, so building information modeling, and if I extend it to the virtual design in construction, because it's not only about the model, it's the whole process. So the BIM has allowed to really reduce the way that the mistakes that we can do on a project. This is the way of bringing everybody around a virtual table, allowing everybody to work on a single source of data, a single model, and by having all the trades, all the different parties working on one project. This BIM technology also allowed to run more simulation, similar to what I was saying before about how I was flying before actually flying for real. The BIM allowed to build virtually. It's allowed to run various design. It's allowed to have the different analysis of the models, how much energy it will consume, what are the different variants that we can generate also from one design to be able to analyze what will be the impact of the project, how much it will cost, how much time it will take to build. So it's allowed really to have in a safe environment, having like all this variation and spending more time on the design part than on the production part. Before BIM, the CAD environment used to be focused on drafting drawings, on producing plans. The BIM is more about producing a model and then extracting the data of it. It's not a 3D modeling, it's much more than that. People are still right now confused. Is it a 3D modeling or is it like an information modeling? The heart of the BIM is about the data, is what you can do with those database that you are building up with the team. The second big also innovation which have come and which is growing and growing more markets is the additive manufacturing. So we're talking about 3D printing. This will allow us to build things which right now we are not able to do with our own hands and machine. When you look at the different parts of a building, they haven't changed for the last 100 years. We're still building the same way we used to build because we haven't enhanced the way that we are actually producing those parts. We are still using geometry which are easy to be done by hand if you need to do it and in the construction part. But with the 3D printing and connected with the BIM part, we can go beyond. We can start to have more parametric design, having like shaping elements that we were not able to do before, and therefore having some better structure also of the element of the build element that we have without using as many resources. And it's allow, obviously, printing can run 24 hours per day, and it can work in the offsite. It can work directly in the industry in a safe where we don't have weather impact and so on directly in the on the construction. So that allows to have a safe operation. Then we have the third part, which you have maybe heard also, the Internet of Things. This is about connecting everything. And it's important for the third challenge, which is the sustainability and the operational phase. What got measured got managed. We need to measure much more about what is the impact of the design. We need to close these three elements here on the screen as a loop in order to be able to measure also what is the impact of the design. I'm just gonna share now a video to also give you a bit of inspiration what happened when we put all those technology together.
Buildings. Imagine our world today. People, vehicles, businesses, buildings, hospitals, factories, entire cities, and the billions of devices that connect us to this world and to each other. This is the physical world. But what if we can replicate that physical world into its digital twin? A digital twin that is bound to the physical world in real time, that we can experience in mixed reality, that we can collaborate with, that we can run simulations on and find what is important to us, that we can apply AI to learn, predict, and act, to save time and money, to reduce carbon, to preserve natural resources, to improve safety, to bring us all closer. This is already happening today. Across the world, organizations are taking advantage of this new wave of innovation that trends to an interconnectedness that enables the metaverse. Everything modeled in the metaverse mirrors the status of its physical twin, including the interactions and relations between everything else. By applying the power of the cloud, we eliminate boundaries of what this can do. The potential is limitless. We can now track and analyze data from connected environments to identify patterns, trends, and anomalies. We can now simulate any possibility, evaluate outcomes, determine the impact of any change or condition. We can now harness AI to perceive the physical world to improve and automate tasks, to give superpowers to your frontline workers. We can now give everyone in your organization the power to build apps and workflows, to collaborate with each other in this virtual space, to share and receive expertise at the right time with the right context in front of you, to move through the physical world and get relevant information about its digital counterpart when and where you need, using mixed reality. The Microsoft Cloud brings these capabilities together with the limitless computing power of the cloud and intelligent devices at the edge, and creates this framework for building immersive and impactful digital twin, mixed reality, and metaverse solutions.
I've already watched so many times this video and still working the same way of me. It's really like how exciting times we are in the construction industry and how big impact we're gonna have. It's really this putting all this technology together. We see that we are really at the breakthrough of something new. Just to share like maybe two example of also how different technology can be used on the construction industry. I would like to share firstly one example with the construction management part. So something that I've done for the general contractor, which have actually they had a challenge that they were scaling up the company and needed to have a better way of managing the product. So this is the first challenge about efficiency, how to grow without growing the team, how to work more smartly. So we were looking for different platforms which allow to centralize the different data parts. We wanted to have a platform which allow to manage all the process of the construction, from the financial part, for the drawing part, from the model aspects, for the invoicing parts, having like all the client on board, having all the subcontractor on board, having really everybody on board on one single platform. And we were looking like a lot for the different platform, and the one that we went with is Procore. So this is like an American company which have creating a platform allowing to connect everybody. We're talking about this connect. It's really to connect everybody on one single platform. And the implementation phase was challenging because we were asking our team to work differently. We were asking them to use different tools that they used to do, and the aspect of the human aspect was really important in that, how to exchange basically the actual workflow into something new. So this platform allowed us to really reduce the construction time by having a better productivity of our team of project management, and therefore increasing the profitability. So a process which, for example, used to take 1 month from the moment that you were creating a contract to send it to the different parties and to have it like executed and signed, this was taking 1 month. And by using the platform, we reduce it to 24 to 48 hours maximum. So why do you need this? Well, if you want to build more with the same amount of people, working smarter, not harder, this is like one platform which allow to connect everybody on one platform, and definitely has a huge impact on the way that we are working today. A second case study, I'm not going too much in the details also because I see the time is clocking also. A second case study coming from Warsaw, so from my time in Warsaw. This is Warsaw Spire, a 39 floors building plus 6 underground level with parkings. This project was one of the first main tower of the new district of Warsaw, the Europejski district, all the part where now we have the business hub aspect of Warsaw. This project were requiring a lot of different simulation, mostly with the wind simulation, as you can see with its design, because before there were not a lot of towers there, so the wind were really strong, and we had to design something which were really aligned with the requirements and the needs. But also we had some environmental simulation, because this building was awarded with many labels in terms of efficiency. And the third and the most important was the coordination part. To give you a perspective, when we had all the execution documentation and we put that all together, we run the simulation, the clash detection to measure what was the conflict between the different trades. We had a whopping 2,500 clashes of documentation that we were about to use for the construction site, which we thought was coordinated already. And the general contractor were mandating us to control the documentation, and this is what come up. So all those mistakes, obviously there were some smaller mistakes, but some major one which could end up by having huge delay on the construction site without saying that huge impact on the budget also. This allow us to improve the collaboration between the teams, improving the also efficiency during the construction time and reducing the waste. How many times you have seen on the construction sites, oh, we forget a hole, we forget that, we have to drill, we have to rearrange and so on. This is where are coming those 360 billion euro of productivity miss. This is all those elements which are adding up on the construction site and are causing such a delays of the construction industry. Why do you need this? Well, it's, I think, obvious that we want to reduce the time of putting those projects out of the ground. And I think it's also important to mention that we need to spend more time in the design phase because of what we talk about the operational part of reducing the carbon footprint and so on. So architects and engineers need to have more time during the design phase to plan this everything ahead, and the construction should be just the end of the process, and everything should have been already figured out and not to be done during the execution of the project, especially if we are looking for prefabrication. Everything is done in the factory before it happens on site. Last but not least, some future trends, some observation of what is coming up. Firstly, a famous quote, which is not getting old, from Albert Einstein: the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. We see that nowadays the construction industry and all the industry are facing some huge challenge in the way that the industry is changing. I put you today 3 main trends. A big one, which is making a lot of head news right now, is the artificial intelligence. How artificial intelligence will impact the real estate? Well, for the design perspective, we talk about a lot of data. The regulation to design sustainable projects is more and more challenging. We have tons of data to manage. Who is better than AI and computer to manage such amount of data? How we can use also with the algorithmic approach by allowing the AI to design us new building with new shapes that we didn't think about, but which make sense in the equation part, which is the carbon footprint, the energy use, the also material, the strength, and with all the resilience that we need to have in the building. And also, how about automation of all the basic tasks and administrative tasks that architects and engineers needs to do, and all the construction industry need to do. So we are looking to offload the low added value task and focus at what we are doing the best as human. This is creativity, because we can do things that with the machine and with the AI, the power of AI, we can just push the boundaries of what we can imagine. The second trends is also the robotic aspects. I was in the BIM world. I was also in BAU Munich a few months ago. It's increasing also the usage of robots for the execution phase. I don't think that in the future we'll have so many workers on site. I think a lot of the work can be done with robots, and this is good because we have less and less people on the construction site. So we have a labor shortage, which can be also exchanged to having more robots to increase the efficiency, because that can work all the time. Those machines can work all the time. And the third, the third innovation, which will have a big impact, is the augmented reality. The augmented reality, this is something that we will hear a lot in the next month, because a lot of the industry is moving in this direction. It's allow basically to remove the way that we used to work. Today, we are all looking at a screen and computer with glasses, augmented reality. We can have screen everywhere, which can be scary on the same way, but it will allow a new way that we interacting with our environment, a new way of interacting with our building also. Everything will be connected, everything will be part of an ecosystem, and we will have a better way of also building a better way of interacting with the different aspects which are around us. So all those three together, I think, will reshape totally the way that we are building. What will not change is that we still need architects, we still need engineers, we still need people to run those processes, because we need our creativity. And those are tools which will help us. The same way that internet arrived with us and allow us to better way. So I'm not scared that it will replace any of our job. I'm just excited to see how our creativity and how our brain will be able to create new way of interacting and new way of designing better, faster, and with less resources. This is all for today on my side. Last quote, that is something that I'm always saying. The recipe of digital transformation is 20% about technology and 80% about people. So it's all about you and what you will be doing with all those technology. Thank you very much, and I'm open up for the question.
Thanks, Julien. Well, the official time is over, but it was super interesting. So the ones who have to go. I have questions, but any question from your side? Please write them down. So in the intern, we always talk about this reduction of carbon, right? CO2, and where do you see the most potential? One thing that I felt quite intrigued with is this concrete. So I was always thinking a lot of people are doing some research on CO2 absorbing concrete. But there is also processes, it can be the metaverse and technology. So of course, if you have such an amount of new construction, how can you even think about reduction in carbon?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because on one hand, we will the humanity is hard for us to do less. It's hard to go down, to reduce, to downscale. But where we are good is like upscaling and making with new materials, with elements, being smarter. In fact, we have more and more materials which are carbon neutral, because they are recycling. We have like large companies which are also like investing tons of money to have better materials in the carbon, even in the concrete industry. It's about also thinking not only about concrete, thinking about other materials. Not all the building can be done in wood, not all the building can be done in steel, not all the building can be done in concrete. We need to have more mixity, but we need to think more about what is the local environment, how we can reduce the distance of sourcing the material. This is where we are looking for. It's not only about looking for the lowest carbon footprints. If you are in terms of the materials, if you are in the middle of area where there is no forest around, why you want to build your home in wood coming from across the globe? This doesn't make sense. We need to harvest more what is in the local environment, and this is the way of downscaling. That we have been living through the globalization era where we had no boundaries. We could like eat avocado coming from the other side of the world. Yes, this is what we do. But how we can downscale by using more local product. And this is something that we see a lot in the food industry and in many other industry also. And by thinking more locally and also thinking more in this, what we call the circular economy, how a building which is demolished a few kilometers, like 50 kilometers from where is my new product, how I can reuse those elements into my new product.
Good, very good. So good, we have Uri Schwendimann asking how fast the use of BIM is progressing in the industry.
Hi Urish, by the way. It's a difficult question because it depends where you ask it. If you ask this question about Scandinavia, well, all the products are already 100% done in BIM. All the industries like already using that without any question even. If you ask me this question with the perspective of Switzerland, well, we are far behind still. We have like a lot of products which are still beyond, because there is no regulation, there is no common practice, there is no that much training and schools education needs still to learn. And this is something which is interesting because there is no 100% BIM. There is always, as we see that now there is AI coming, now there is like virtual augmented reality, there is all these robots, and we will continue to push. I think BIM is already at the end of its life cycle, if I would say, as a technology. We are already moving forward, which is the digital twin, which is the evolution of the BIM part. But I don't think we'll be talking about BIM and IFC and all the problem that we have nowadays in 5 years' time. I think everything will be solved because we have different open way. In terms of the adoption, again, of the BIM in the industry, I would say that a lot of large-scale products have been already implemented because the stakes are enormous. We are not if you're saving like 1-2% on a few million, hundreds of million projects, these enormous savings, and you have to invest in that. But myself and our company, we're using BIM in even small project, in small residential project, in even renovation of apartment and so on. It's not that much about going 100%. It's being about what makes sense for the product and what do you need actually to help being more efficient, because it's what we are looking for in the end.
Also, Uli is asking if there are any countries that already, demand the usage of BIM. Probably
yeah,
not.
Definitely.
Okay.
Finland in 2001, if I remember correctly. Denmark definitely 2007. Other country, after, I don't have all the years in my mind, but I know that UK has mandated in 2000. I think it was 16 or 17, if we have some people from UK which can correct me on that. But it was a bit more recent. Germany is like pushing also to put it. Switzerland not yet, but we have like already some first chapter of introduction. So some countries definitely are regulating it. And most of the time it was the public market which were at first mandating it. In Denmark, for instance, it was the public markets, because they were building a lot of hospitals for the public, and they wanted, and it's the country which were investing in that, and they wanted a better way of managing those buildings. And this is how the BIM got more and more mandated in Denmark.
Okay, that's interesting. I think if I talked to a couple of architect friends of mine, and they were, yeah, BIM is old and blah blah. No, but nobody's really using it in Switzerland, I feel, to a certain extent. And now already the new technologies are coming up. Are you positive that the most innovative country in the world will adapt to those new technologies in construction and architecture in the future better than to BIM, or what is our problem?
Yeah, you just use my punchline that we are the most innovating country, but we have no BIM on the construction side in Switzerland. Well, we have, yes. I'm just joking on that. We have. I'm really positive in that because the latecomers have always advantages. Apple was never the first one. They were already bad, but you don't have to be the first ones. We have a culture also of adopting what is the best. And right now, it has never been so easy to adopt BIM. 2007, when Denmark put it, we had really slow connection of internet. Right now, we can just like have this webinar live and so on, which was not possible 20 years ago. And now we have all this technology which have adding up and making it more and more easy to use. What I feel is that Switzerland will probably jump one step ahead and not go through the traditional BIM, but move already to the digital twin directly, I think. So this is also fine. It's a way of doing it. And I think we see more and more companies which are creating digital copy of cities. We have like a company doing that in Zurich, for example, that they're creating digital database where you can connect and extract the data and create services based on that. And I think this is already the digital twin aspect. But on the same time, I also work and collaborate with some facility management companies which are still working with paper and having this way of maintaining the building and so on. So the stakes are enormous. We still have lots of transition going on. And I'm hoping and I'm positive that the AI will unlock basically the gap on that by giving the tools to everybody. So the barrier on the entrance is getting just vanished totally.
Very good. Great. I have one last question so the people can all leave, but this I always wanted to ask. I'm by trade a marketer. Now, how does this BIM technology really also improve the marketing, let's say, of I don't know, commercial buildings, etc., apartments? In the future, will we have like VR goggles on and basically walk through my future apartment with the architect, and then I want this here, I want this that, and then in real time we can change whatever? Or is this already happening?
Yeah, it's one of the three main pillars of reality, and one of them is using that for commercial marketing aspects. To give you a perspective, look the experience that you have right now of buying a new car, for example. You go on the website, you customize, you choose the colors, you choose the option, you choose the interiors, and so on, and you see the car how it will look before even putting a foot in the car dealership. Now look how it is, the process of buying an apartment. You have a floor plan and you have to imagine what it will look like. Well, this is the experience right now, and this is what with Reality also we are facing and giving to people the tool to project with yourself. Now, a few years ago, the technology was not so evolved, but right now we can do that directly in the cloud. So we allow our clients to not only see the floor plan, see it in 3D, choose which type of floor do you want, how much it will cost with the different elements, and having this full environment of creating the customizing your future apartment. Definitely right now, the technology, what we are using is the technology of video games and movie industry. If you've seen the last recent movies, 90%, if not more, is done fully virtually. If you've seen the last Avatar, 100% almost of the movie is done in CGI. Nothing is real, nothing is done with physical objects. And this is the quality that we can have and what we are offering also to our clients. So definitely the application of BIM, it's way beyond BIM. It's all this like more artistic part is really exciting. And with the upcoming metaverse, but mostly about the augmented reality part, you will have the possibility to walk in an empty apartment and see already it's furnished so that you can better project yourself.
Cool. Okay, good, Julia. So we all have to eat. I could ask tons of questions. I'm really interested in this subject. Thanks a lot for giving us this insightful view. We have, lots of things we need to learn, and of course, the whole industry will evolve as we hope. If you only have seen 1% of productivity gain since 1995. So that is not a lot. This is when I start